be a faith that gathers, reaching for one another through the walls of hate others build, through the cages of ignorance and arrogance, and through the fear that burns in city streets. Let us be a faith that sees a vision of a better world, more compassionate, more just, more holy, and with more love. There is a faith that binds up the broken, cauterizes battle wounds with the balm of peace, sings longer and louder than the trumpets of war. Let us be that faith too. Let us be the ones who do not tread lightly in this world, but light it up with our love, who hold up the mirror of worth and dignity, but who are the sanctuary others seek. But first, let us be a faith that worships together, here, this morning, in this space, at this moment. Yay! Good morning. Yeah, we've got wonderful music this morning from our music minister emeritus, Sonia Johnston, and one of our resident songstresses, Fran Bohlke, who's also co-leading, helping out with the service this morning. Good morning. Welcome to Minnesota Valley UU Fellowship. My name's Laura. I'm the minister here. We welcome you if this is your first time or your 150th time. If it is your first or second time, there's a link over in the chat that you can fill out and get a little more information about us, if that's something that would work for you. I am coming to you live from our building in Bloomington, which is the ancestral and contemporary and spiritual homelands for the Dakota people. We honor them. We honor them by our commitment to racial justice work and our commitment to environmental work as well, that we might know that this land is sacred as well. I have a couple of announcements before we get started. The first is a big announcement, in case you didn't see it, that in-person services will resume on the 28th, so in 2 weeks. So we'll have our hybrid services again. You can come here in person, or you can watch on Zoom or YouTube as you have been. And that includes all other gatherings as well, children, youth, and family programming, and committee meetings, and all of those things. Groups are welcome to resume meeting as long as they follow masking and distancing guidelines. For the time being, children and youth programming, all the kids will be gathered together until we have enough kids coming for groups, age groups, to form again in person. Fitness classes with Fran are also going to resume in person after that time, and the time will change to 4:30. And those classes will be a mix of of stretching and exercise and maybe some yoga, and they'll get you moving and get you more limber. So check that out. That'll be at 4:30. You can ask Fran for more information about that. I believe she asks for a $4 donation for that. So check that out. I also want to let you know, Maria or Gabe, maybe you can post a link. Games Galore is this afternoon, so check that out. That's for all ages. Charades and other games will be played online. It's great for families or anybody who likes games. People of all ages can check that out. We're so glad that you've joined us this morning. I'm going to turn it over to Fran, who's going to lead our chalice lighting for us.
Good morning, everybody. These words are from Reverend Dr. David Breeden. We gather into this circle. We gather into this circle of care, to dream, to envision, to embody and achieve the compassion we dream, the justice we envision, the dignity of each in an ever-growing circle of love and justice.
Thank you. Each week we set aside some time to lift up the joys and sorrows of the congregation. In a couple minutes, you can share those aloud if you'd like, or you can type them in the chat. A couple things that I want to bring up. Marilyn Burt wanted to extend her gratitude to everybody who sent her cards or reached out to her when she was recovering at Masonic Homes. And I also want to mention that these beautiful flowers that are here today, these roses that smell wonderful, are shared in honor of David Winslow Eager II's birthday, which is Valentine's Day tomorrow. David was the son of Kathy and Daryl Eager. Also, it's a joy that I am much better from the cold. My own personal joy is that I'm much better from the cold. That I remember last week when I said I was so glad that I was going to that toddler's birthday party. Yeah, got a cold there while I was there. In addition to seeing my wonderful family, so I'm glad to be on the other side of that now. But my voice is a little whatever today, so bear with me. Any other joys or sorrows to share today on this cold Super Bowl Sunday?
I have a joy that I'm able to visit my dad, and I'm at his place today. My mom's out visiting my grandpa. And the sorrow bit is that the care center that my grandpa's at is short-staffed, but it's also nice that she can be out there and helping.
Indeed, let's lift up all those places that are short-staffed right now. It's a real struggle. Does anybody else have joys or concerns, celebrations they want to share? All right. Then I will ask that you join in our sung response. Thank you, Lark. First and foremost, we strive to be a welcoming community and a safe space for people to bring their whole selves. We invite your curiosity, your growing edges, and your sense of self-discovery. This is an important part of why we come together to love and support one another on our journeys. Here to tell us more about his journey into this community and share what this community means to him is Kaizen Hummer.
Hi, I'm Kaizen Hummer, or Kai. I use he, him, his, or they, them, their pronouns. I knew something was different about me from a very young age, and I believed this difference was wrong. My first days here felt uncomfortable. I was, and I still am, an introvert, but back then I was afraid of people. I didn't know then that I have social anxiety. I wasn't aware of how restricting it was. My wife and I were welcomed here warmly and with acceptance from day one. Even so, it took me more than a few visits to gain enough comfort here to engage with others. I have learned about our 7 principles, and I wholeheartedly believe in all of them. I was first exposed to the concept of people being non-binary while sitting in the pews in this sanctuary. This was the beginning of me discovering that I'm transgender. MVUUF has given me a safe place to explore and change as I have evolved. This is where I first came out. This is where I have found support. This is where I feel I belong and where my difference is not only accepted and supported, but it feels as if my individuality is celebrated. As a result, I've come out of my shell more than I ever thought I could. And last year, I was part of the team of facilitators that ran the OWL program for kids grades 7 through 9. OWL, or Our Whole Lives, is a wonderful program that is all about learning healthy skills for navigating sexuality, gender, and relationships. It is a program that I'm passionate about because I know how life-saving it can be for all kids, and especially for kids who identify as LGBTQ+, or those who are just questioning their sexuality or gender. It makes a huge difference to a child when they hear open and honest discussion that includes their identity as a normal part of human diversity. I'm grateful to have been part of this life-changing and life-saving program. I give to MVUUF because I feel a sense of belonging here, a sense of individual worth, as well as a feeling of being part of a bigger force for good. I want to make sure MVUUF is here for those who come after me. I want them to find belonging here as well as support and a place to offer their unique gifts in their journey towards living healthier, happier, and more fulfilling lives.
Thank you, Kai. We invite you to think about how this community welcomes you and supports you on your journey and why you give to support this community. And we invite you to express your gratitude with generosity in our offering this morning.
This is a reading from the UUA Commission on Institutional Change report, Widening the Circle of Concern. This is a bit long, so I hope you'll stay with me. Because of the historical expansion of UU religious expression, followed by the eventual neglect of theological work within the UUA in the 20th century, our congregations often have the characteristics of elite social clubs rather than of religious institutions. As a religious institution and not a social club, we are bound in covenant to a set of beliefs and aspirations. Our inclusive pluralist principles allow individuals to find their own paths to truth within our Unitarian Universalist frame. Yet often individuals do not see that our faith community is held together by a set of common communal values. When individualism is not in balance with communal good, individualism can become toxic to our religious community. If we wish to preserve Unitarian Universalist and Unitarian Universalist traditions, our conversations and research suggest that our congregations must center themselves in the communal and covenantal and not primarily the comfort and familiarity of the social club. This change must be accomplished with some speed and agility. Then we have an example that was submitted testimony that illustrates the tensions that exist. So, and there's a few times in here where it's the pronoun is I, and that's not me, okay? This is some testimonial from some congregation. It doesn't say which. We have begun engaging in a process of visioning for our congregation. And one of the first actions was we gave everyone an opportunity to write or draw or something, some part of where they hoped our congregation would go. And then people were given little blue stickers, 2 little dots, so that they could attach the dots to the things that they liked. So one of the things that I wrote in that process was that I would like the congregation to commit itself to anti-racism. And this testimony continues. And a lot of people wrote that they wanted to see the congregation become more diverse, and there were a lot of blue dots next to becoming more diverse. There were no blue dots next to becoming anti-racist. Or maybe I said ending white supremacy culture. How are we going to become more diverse, assuming that diverse means racially diverse, unless we commit ourselves to acting against racism? So it seems to me there's a disconnect there, and that might be a way of expressing that disconnect and therefore the struggle, so that it's easier for someone to say, yeah, I want to diversify as long as I don't have to actually do anything to change myself, as long as the congregation doesn't have to change. And I suspect that's a kind of a struggle that a lot of people are going through. And that's the end of that testimony.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place.
Thank you, Fran and Sonia. This morning, when I started the service, our opening words were from Heidi Cotton. And we were invited to be a people of faith that worships together. And I know that these are loaded words for some of you. They are words and concepts that maybe don't resonate with you. Perhaps your discomfort with them has festered into a state of being offended when you hear them. And I'm sure that we can find other phrases that might do the same thing for some of us, or most of us at one point in time. Phrases like Black Lives Matter, white supremacy or white supremacy culture, stolen land and labor, phrases like defund the police, phrases like racism, America's original and perpetual sin. Words matter, and they trigger in us visceral reactions. That which is visceral is defined as a deep gut feeling, right? It's not intellectual, but it's more inward than that. It's connected to our heart, to our spirit, to some other more elusive way of being than just thinking. Reason, facts, and discussion do not always dissuade us from a sense of wrongness that we've attached to certain words, phrases, or concepts, because that sense of wrongness or discomfort is beyond our mind's thinking. It's deeper in our gut, in our heart, in our very essence of being, and it doesn't sit easy. Our response when we have that then can be one of two things. The first of which is to shut down the conversation, right? Just nope. And the second is to sit with the discomfort, to slow down and listen and feel what that discomfort is trying to tell us. Essentially, this is what we do when we experience pain. Pain tells us that something is wrong, that we're being hurt, injured, or that we become sick. Pain is valuable. We can try to ignore pain or push through it, and sometimes that works for the time being, but oftentimes it can make things worse in the long run. Eventually, the pain or injury may return, sometimes over and over, until we finally address it and seek a way to heal it or learn to live with it through changes in our lifestyle or expectations of how we'll be in relationship with this pain, with the world around us. Deep pain or illness left unchecked and untreated can lead to permanent deteriorated health conditions and even death. So it's important when we have pain or discomfort that we pay attention, that we bear witness to it. In bearing witness, we enact compassion, empathy, solidarity, and we may begin the transformative work of justice. Humanity is at its most powerful and transformative when we experience the truth of one another, when we witness pain. Now, Heidi Kadam, the writer of our opening words this morning, also wrote on this subject, on witnessing pain, and she observes, some of you may be thinking to yourselves that you don't need to see pain up close and personal to feel empathetic or to understand justice. None of us here needs to observe from the edges of a slave auction to know how horrifying and depraved those auctions were. We don't need to spend a day at any of the 40,000 incarceration sites or extermination or concentration camps from World War II to know what happened in them is unspeakably horrific. Except it isn't just about knowing that these things were wrong. It's about understanding in our bones what it means that the history of genocide is now built into every Jewish family's DNA, and slavery into every African American's DNA. It's about facing our sins against humanity. It's knowing the crimes of which we are capable. Everyday news headlines are filled with evidence that we as a country have failed to fulfill the ideas of liberty and justice for all. We are a nation founded on the genocide of indigenous people and the enslavement of men, women, and children of Africa. In the two extreme examples I've mentioned already, American slavery and the Holocaust, there have been two vastly different outcomes. After the Second World War, Germany as a country faced what it had done. They looked at it squarely without excuses or failed reasoning and began to rebuild their country on the foundational premise that they could never let it happen again. In fact, this is where the simple phrase, never forget, came from. It began as an admonishment to themselves to keep them from returning to the path of their vilest acts. Germany bore witness. America has not yet faced our history of slavery, nor the malice, colonization, and oppression of indigenous peoples in the same way. We have not fully faced our embedded racism. We have not come out of that time and acknowledged what we have done. Instead, we've made excuses or tried to compromise with racism in other ways. Some looked away in apathy, others have looked away in discomfort. We cannot yet make it right because we do not yet bear witness to our truth. Yes, we haven't done that the same way as Germany had. We've taken this long, slow road of trying to get out of it and bumbled along the way. Every week, Black Americans, Indigenous Americans, and people of color in this country experience ongoing racism and oppression alongside the deep wound of it that lie in their collective DNA, because we haven't been able to reconcile our past and rebuild from it, because we struggle to even name and face it, right? I didn't do it. We struggle mightily. On one hand, we yearn to be more multicultural, this congregation, right? We yearn to be more multicultural, to attract young families, that our liberal progressive faith might flourish in the years to come as it did in the past. And yet, time and time again, here, there is pushback against listening to and bearing witness to the pain and suffering that is occurring over and over again in marginalized communities. Not always, but it's still here, right? It's still within us. I know it's still within me. And I cannot tell you how many times I have heard and seen in this congregation well-meaning statements and actions that were wrapped in centering white supremacy culture. And I too am guilty of not always saying as much as I could or wanted to, for fear of driving people away who are uncomfortable with progressive anti-racism work, for fear of stepping out. I too struggle with that. I know that anti-racism work is hard. I know it's uncomfortable. I know that we do not get to be in charge of how marginalized communities feel. I know viscerally the deep feelings of confusion and fear about saying or doing something wrong in this work. The wound of racism in this country is deep. For those of us that have lived here most of our lives, it is in our DNA, whether we are white, Black, Indigenous, or people of color. We carry the wound of either being harmed by racism or the defect of being able to benefit from its perpetuation. And I know this deep in my bones, deep in my gut, my heart, my spirit, that this congregation, this denomination, this brand of so-called liberal progressivism will not survive without leaning into all of our discomfort around anti-racism, anti-oppression, and multicultural work with hearts full of intention on dismantling those social systems within our institutions, including our own fellowship, which do still continue to uphold ideas around white supremacy culture or push back on the very notion of it occasionally. I mean, not always. We have work to do. But if we don't keep doing that work, we won't attract members of other races or cultures, nor will we attract the very liberal, progressive young families of today who hold these ideas as central to the type of community that they want to be deeply engaged with. We will not attract them if we aren't doing that work. And here is the good news. We've already been doing some of this crucial work. We've done 2 rounds of Beloved Conversations, which is anti-racism training work. More than 24 of our members attended those sessions. That's about 17% of our congregation. This is a great start, and we should aim to double that in the next few years if we can. This pumps the cells of anti-racism, anti-oppression, and multiculturalism into the larger body of our fellowship, reaching into all aspects of our outer and inner work. And we have staff that's engaging this work in their own professional development across the board. Jeannie, Nicole, Maria, and I are all engaged in our UU affiliated professional associations, which all include a commitment of anti-racism and decentering whiteness in their frameworks. We have a healthy and productive racial justice committee spawned out of those Beloved Conversations workshops. Our racial justice committee sponsors book reads, film showings, and workshops, keeping the importance of this work lifted up as a tenet of this community. Recently, they added crucial in this with their Let's Talk About Race gatherings, which happen once a month, I forget which Sunday it is, allowing space for working through and witnessing some of that discomfort and confusion and pushback and fear that we all can have around this work that sometimes hold us back. It's open and safe space to work through that. We also have our book clubs and men's group and women's group who have speakers who come in and talk about various aspects of work in these areas. We're doing good work. We're doing good work. Being bold in this work, though, it also means being vulnerable and leaning into discomfort, continuing to do that. We are not always going to have the right answers or say or do the right thing. And it's important that we learn to use discomfort of not knowing and not having all the answers to transform us into a community that is not concerned with being right about everything, but is instead centered on being in right relationship with the world around us. This congregation and its people are good people. Good people. We have good hearts and high hopes. We are people who have almost always been intolerant to the idea of racism and oppression. I mean, we do have some dark corners of our past as well. We come out of a bit of an elitist and intellectually focused tradition, naturally excluding many of the folks whose oppression we're trying to lift up as wrong. So sometimes our good intentions and our good hearts and our high hopes have not always had the impact that we wanted them to. And so we keep doing the work and figuring it out. The good news here is that we can learn from what we've done. We can listen to Black, Indigenous, and communities of color and bear witness to the scars and pain that they still carry. And we can look inward with our own eyes and our hearts wide open to imagine what the next step might be. And then the next. Avoiding blame and shutting down when we stumble, and truly living into being a community of covenant with room for the uncomfortable and even the painful moments that accompany our growth, and leaning into what it means to dismantle systems of oppression and build beloved community. And more good news. The good news is we can do this. We can face discomfort and pain. We can witness our history and the ongoing wounds and dysfunction caused by it, and we can, in community with others, transform it into true liberation. We can do this. We are doing it, and we can keep doing it for as long as it takes. I want to close this morning with a prayer, also adapted from Heidi Cuddam. So would you please join me in a posture of thoughtfulness? Deepest dwelling of our hearts, Spirit of life, we humble ourselves before love. We lift our voices and actions in protest of the violence perpetuated in upholding white supremacist systems and culture, and we commit ourselves to the work of abundant love and healing. We face ourselves as individuals and as a people. We acknowledge our complicity in racism, xenophobia, and the brokenness which allows them to continue to flourish in these lands. We see the harm that's being inflicted on others and new cycles of brokenness that are caused. We commit ourselves to the work of abundant love and healing. We do not turn away from victims of mass incarceration, police brutality, depraved immigration policies, oppression of human rights and freedom. We hold the entirety of the experience, their suffering, and our responsibility, and we commit ourselves to the work of abundant love and healing. We see each other's tears and know we play a part. We humble ourselves to each other, knowing that we cannot change the past, but we can build a better future, a different future. Deepest dwelling of our hearts, Spirit of lives, we commit ourselves to the work of abundant love and healing. May it be so, and amen.
And I give you these words for the chalice extinguishing. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Oh, thank you so much, Fran and Sonia. That's one of my favorite hymns. I love that song. We're a little early today. Anybody who wants to hang around to say hello or dive into the subject a little deeper, I welcome you to stay. We'll keep the room open for a little